Hey guys, I haven't been around in like 2 months, and I'm sorry for that, but I've been very busy and very involved with family issues and school issues. So, I will hopefully be back soon. I'm sort of back now, but not exactly. I still have a little bit more work to be done. I have to finish my thesis. But, in the meantime, I just wanted to say I know a lot of you have sent me response videos and emails, and I'm going to get back to you as soon as I can, and hopefully very soon. So please stay tuned in the near future. Give me like a week or two. Um, in the meanwhile, I wanted to share with whoever's interested some stuff I've been playing around with and learning through doing my research. And a lot of it's not all very intellectual, maybe a little philosophical, but um, integral. What is integral consciousness? That is the question that hasn't been really bugging me, but it's been fun to explore and see who and how they answer. Um, and what is it, and how is it effective, and how are people trying to express that? Um, when I was reading Ever-Present Origin, a Gene Gebser book, um, I think it's John Gebser, actually, but yeah, when I was reading Ever-Present Origin, um, I came across some very good descriptions for what it is. And if you're not familiar with this, if you're saying, what is this integral consciousness? What are you talking about? Okay, to put it not simply but very directly, all, all it's really saying, or the general mentality is consciousness, you experiencing yourself, experiencing me talking to you, that consciousness, the way you see the world, the way you reflect and think and feel, it changes, it evolves. And there's ways to explore that, explore consciousness. And I don't just mean psychedelics or meditation, but those are part of it. There's a way to investigate it and understand it. And by understanding the way we think and feel and structure the world around us, can transform can transform us and give us new insights. Um, and it's very difficult, one might argue, to study consciousness. I mean, uh, how the hell are you going to do that besides, studying, neurology? But to put it in one way that always made sense to me, um, we have an origin of species. We have the evolutionary theory. We know where biologically we came from. But what recent studies are, and what this trend is in civilization and modern culture, this integral trend, is really an attempt to recognize an evolution of consciousness, an origin of consciousness. And it's really like that. What is our story consciously? How has our thinking changed? How has our awareness and consciousness changed in 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 years? What is it to be human, and do we grow? Are we still changing? And does this change have a direction? Are we expanding our awareness? Are we intensifying our consciousness? Are we able to reflect on ourselves more? And if so, what insights will that bring to civilization? For instance, um, Gebser mentions in the book the Aztecs didn't really have an individualistic mentality. So when the Spaniards came and conquered their civilization, the main driving force behind it wasn't just that they had guns. The Spaniards had guns. The main shocker was that these few people could be individuals. That was something that never happened before. To have a stronger sense of I-ness amongst this groupthink mentality. And you might argue, well, it's all relative. There's no evolution in that sense. It's just relative, relative, relative. Well, that's not necessarily true. just in the way evolution itself isn't ultimately relative. There is a direction in the sense that there's this buildup of more complexity. New and novel and emergent layers are always coming up, springing out of chaos and chaos of evolution and natural selection. The question then becomes for the academic, first of all, well, does that happen to humans? What happens in cultures when ideas are exchanged, when consciousness is exchanged and shared? How does that evolve? Does it evolve? Well, that's actually almost common sense when you really begin to think about it. Of course it evolves, but how? So this is the origin of consciousness. And the next question is, okay, well then what is integral consciousness? That is maybe arbitrary, maybe not. But out of all the different theorists who describe it, I prefer Jean Gebser's, because the way he expresses it is, it's more like, look, we have this awareness, we have this basic consciousness that becomes more aware over time, capable of more reflection, capable of noticing things and becoming self-reflective, more self-reflective as time goes on. That ability for self-reflection reaches a critical point where you realize the source and the origin of everything. It's almost like a satori, in a way, or an enlightenment experience, which is why he named his book Ever-Present Origin, because just like in biological evolution, our biological roots, yes, they're in the past, but they're also right here in our genetics. Evolution is, we are evolution, and it's still happening. So it's ever present, it's always going on. In the same way, there is a source of consciousness. There is a consciousness that is within us, that is already whole and complete, and not necessarily any particular features that we've been thinking it is. So if that all sounds very, very complex, I'm still working on a way to express this in a more direct way, without the jargon, because that can be a real hindrance if you can't express it without the jargon. If you can only say it in complex ways, sometimes it is better to have one way to express it very simply than 1,000 complex ways, because it'll never, if it's that important, if you think it's that important, it'll never be able to be said to more people. It'll never reach out. It'll only stay in academics or people who like philosophy. So integral consciousness, it itself has no features. It is the point of reflection where we realize a spiritual nature to reality, and that we are already part of it. That almost in a way, it's almost like saying there's a super consciousness. There's a big mind. There's a kensho at the heart of your mind. The heart of your awareness is already just is. And this idea that we can be capable of a deeper consciousness, but not only that, we're not just ascending into this. It's always been here, and it has been the driving force for human conscious evolution, and perhaps more. You can go there. Some integral theorists do think that the base reality is some kind of super conscious, some kind of omega point, call it God, call it the divine, that animates and moves all things, physical and mental. And human beings are capable of going back to that source. In a way, it's like the universe is already whole, but it creates us. We evolve from it. And we're just the universe, which is already whole, now conscious of itself. So realize there's nothing more to do. There's that wholeness that's there, already there, animating and bringing all things to life. So it's this deeper, profound realization. That's integral. And I'm going to make a second video to finish my thoughts up on this. So thanks for listening.